What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the DSA Roundtable. My first time hosting the DSA Roundtable with my fantastic panel mates. We got a very good show for you tonight. A lot of good questions. Of course, a lot of very good panel people alongside with me. So without any further ado, let me get to introducing the first member of our panel tonight, Mr. Luke G's Field Review. How you doing tonight, Luke?
Hey, salute everybody. Ready to talk a little football. It's been a long week, so let's have us some fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then we got another member of the panel tonight, Mr. 313 JMO. How you doing tonight, JMO?
What's good? What's good, everybody? Make sure you guys like that video, man. The Lions have been putting a lot of work in, so we're gonna see what it end up looking like.
Yes, they have. And there's been a lot of very interesting news to come out of the Detroit Lions organization recently. And the first one is the first question that we have tonight. And news came out yesterday that the Detroit Lions were going to interview Indianapolis Colts assistant general manager Ed Dodds for the GMing vacancy. They interviewed him today. And the first question I have for everybody is, what are your thoughts on the interview, and what are your thoughts about our chances to acquire such a highly, I guess, sought after general manager candidate? Luke, we'll start with you.
I've always said that if we went after Dodds' favorite coach is Robert Saleh. And if they lock in Dodds, lock in Robert Saleh. Even though I think Thomas Dimitroff is going to end up being the GM, just something about my spirit say so. Um, I think if they are able to get him in here and he's able to bring talent, I'm cool with it. All I'm looking for right now is experience and their ability to bring talent to the table. If they can do that, I'm happy.
Yeah, I think that's all we can ask for at this point. It's just some talent in the building and the right people here. Jama, what are your thoughts on the interview with Ed Dodds?
I mean, I'm not overreacting. To me, the Lions they're gonna go interview everybody. You know, if you got one qualification, you get an interview. If you got 1,000, you get an interview. And this is just more on that wagon. But I agree with Luke. If they can bring him in, then you Robert Solid people will end up probably getting him unless he gets signed while I'm talking. You know.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think that obviously I did a video that'll probably be out tomorrow. But I just think he's a very good GM. The more research I do on him, the more I like him. He drafted a lot of good players. I mean, he was one of the big candidates for the Legion of Boom being constructed. I mean, obviously built up that Indianapolis Colts roster very well. So I mean, it'll be very interesting because I think the big thing is he doesn't take a lot of interviews. I mean, he turned down Cleveland's last year. He turned down Carolina's offer. Like, he doesn't go to a lot of interviews. So the fact that he accepted this one, I think, is kind of big, actually.
Well, one of the reasons he turned down the Browns interview last year was because when they asked him who did he want for a head coach, he said Robert Saleh. They wanted Stans with whatever his name is, the guy that they got now. They wanted him.
Fancy.
And he said, well, if that's who you want, then I'm not the GM for you. And so he basically took the idea that if you're going to pick the coach for me, what am I a GM for? If you want to make the calls, make the calls. You don't need me for that. The reason he turned down the Panthers is because the Panthers recently just got a head coach in Rule, and he already knows that he's not going to be able to get the head coach that he wants. But in Detroit, he can pick the head coach that he wants, and it's not going to be a conflict.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes sense. But, I think if we were able to bring in Ed Dodds, we'd definitely be able to get Robert Saleh because they've been talking a lot about working together. So I think that could be really big for the Lions. And speaking of Robert Saleh, the Lions did interview him. I believe it was last Thursday. Obviously, he's a top coaching candidate for the Lions. A lot of fans want him. A lot of fans love him. And he did interview last week. However, there are very mixed reports on the interview. Some people say it went very well. Some people say it did not go very well. There's a lot of mixed reviews, a lot of mixed opinions seemingly out there. So my question for the panel is, what do you guys think about that? Do you think there's any truth to the bad, any truth to the good, somewhere in between? And what does that mean for Robert Saleh and the Detroit Lions? Luke, we'll start with you.
I did a post, and in that post, I asked the question of how does this kind of information get out, and who does it benefit for this information to be out? And my view was the Lions ain't saying that he had a bad interview because it don't do them no benefit. But if I want to create doubt in the mind of a candidate that I want, and I'm another team, guess what? I heard it was a terrible interview, right? Because now it makes sense. And that whole idea of it being a bad interview came from a Houston person because they want him. So guess what? They already know that the fact that he's from Michigan, this is his hometown. He's lived not too far from the Lions Stadium. He's coached his way up to this point to where he can now come home and be the hometown hero. Hands down, it's going to be bad reports coming out. The same thing is happening about Wilson all of a sudden. All of a sudden, Zach Wilson is a spoiled brat. Where this comes from is beyond me. But now he's a spoiled brat. And so to me, I don't put no stock into it because I don't think the Lions is leaking that, it was a bad interview. Even if they thought it was a bad interview, they're not leaking that. There's no advantage to them to leak that information.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I guess I wouldn't know why they would say that. But I didn't know that it was from a Houston reporter. So that does make a lot of sense if they're trying to sway him away. So I guess we'll have to see and kind of check in on how that develops. JMO, do you have any other thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, look, like I said, I know all the Lions fans are watching this closely, but I'm just chilling. I'm gonna watch all of the headlines. I was happy we interviewed Saleh, and it wasn't anything that I would have thought that the interview was bad. I feel like Luke is talking about them benefiting you, but on a different tack, I feel like if he interviewed bad, they would let people know that like somebody would know, like they'd be like, yo, like that he interviewed bad, and that's not a good thing. I'm more concerned with the fact that maybe he didn't have the best interview with us and had a better interview with the Jets because he's been back. He hasn't been back yet. We'll see. He'll probably come back in later. But yeah, Houston people putting out hot takes and things of that nature, man. I'm not really buying it. And to me, if he's the right coach, then he's the right coach. And if he's not, then he'll be somewhere else. But a lot of teams want this guy. And that's why I want Lions fans to temper that expectations unless we get that GM. Because if everybody wants somebody, we ain't going to get it.
Right. I mean, I think that makes sense. But I do think the fact that he's from Detroit would be a big part of him, trying to come back, trying to, maybe win for his hometown team, the team he grew up watching. But I just thought that was a very interesting thing because I feel like usually we don't see, or at least, I usually don't see things saying, either it was a great interview or it was it was a horrible interview. Yeah, generally it's, kind of a consensus statement. And I feel like this one, it was very, there were two very opposite sides and conflicting viewpoints. So I thought it was just a very interesting question. And, I guess my opinion on it, I kind of agree with what you guys are saying. It's obviously if somebody else is saying it, somebody that's not even from Michigan, not from Detroit, not in the Lions, I mean, you can't really take too much stock into it. But I think it's very interesting that JMO mentioned, he hasn't been back for an interview yet or a second interview, whereas he was back for the Jets, right? If he's gone in there twice for the Jets and once for the Lions, does that mean he's more interested in the Jets? Does that mean the Jets are more interested in him than the Lions? Like, I think it's a very interesting scenario that Lions fans should keep a very close eye on for the next couple of weeks. I think that'll be a very interesting development. And, people that know me and people that have talked to me know that I love Robert Saleh. I've been preaching for Robert Saleh for many, many months, probably since last offseason. I've been having my eye on Saleh because I wasn't a huge fan of Matt Patricia at any point. So I think that'll be a very interesting. I think it'll be very interesting to see how that outcome goes down.
Plus, I wonder, like, okay, one perspective is, man, the Jets breaking them out for a second interview. The question is what did the Jets need to see a second time around before they made a decision? Yeah. And the Lions, if you look at their draft picks, they talked to all their draft picks one time, and then they still took them. So it's not like they need to do a lot. They're trying to get a lot of interviews in a short period of time and weigh the pros and cons of each hire.
Right. Yeah.
So I to me, to the Lions fan base, don't take no stock in reports that are coming out right now because everybody needs a head coach. And so guess what? All the he said, she said stuff is about to get started.
Right. That's why I said, like, sit back and relax. I mean, we're not gonna start. I mean, I could be wrong if somebody gets signed, tomorrow, but we're not gonna see. I don't think we're gonna see any head coach signings until the season is over with. Right now, people are just playing the field, and now that Doug Pederson is out, which I kind of thought would happen, like it's another team on the market now. So yeah, like I said, I'm just sitting back and I'm gonna relax and watch this because like I know nothing. Like it's gonna be a lot of talking before things actually come to action.
Right. And with you that, you know what, like you said, the Eagles are looking for a head coach, and I think they just said they're trying to request an interview with him as well. So, yeah, I think that'll be very interesting to see how that develops. But moving on to the next question for the panel, and this is one that I actually am very curious about because I know there's a lot of very mixed opinions on this. And I know a lot of people did not want the Lions to take a wide receiver in the top 10. However, with DeVonta Smith's Heisman winning campaign and his legendary college football playoff performance, did it change your mind about drafting a wide receiver in the top 10 to either replace Marvin Jones, replace Kenny Galladay, or just add to a wide receiver core that's going to see a lot of change this season? JMO, we'll start with you.
You know, my answer to this question is 4 words. Is he Calvin Johnson? Now, if he Calvin Johnson, oh cool. But he ain't. So no. Simple. Like Calvin Johnson is probably the only receiver that I would take. And I know that's might be funny to some people, but in this situation that we are with our team, you would have to be that good. And I think DeVonta Smith is a freaking amazing, but you know, he ain't Calvin Johnson, bro. Like, and you know, it's a couple other receivers, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not so good to where I'm like, I'm taking him at 7 because he's gonna change everything for us complete, you know, turnaround. And it's hard for a receiver to do that. And you can have Justin Jefferson and still go 7 and 9. So what are we really gonna get out of DeVonta Smith? You know, because if you look at the Vikings, they had the great offense, like 6 in passing offense or 6 in total offense. Dalvin Cook running 200 yards a pop. Got Thielen on one side, got Jefferson on the other side. Defense sucked. We suck. So you can get DeVonta Smith and you can add Kenny Galladay on the other side, and we can throw the ball all over the park. But at best, you're looking at 8 and 8, 9 and 7, 7 and 9, depending on what the rest of the defense look like. So my answer is he Calvin Johnson? If the answer is yes, then take him. But if he ain't Calvin, which I don't think he is, don't make me have to pull up on the force. That's all I got to say.
Right. And I thought it was very interesting that you mentioned that there's other wide receivers because I know there are a lot of people that are high on other wide receivers. If I'm not mistaken, Luke, I'm pretty sure you were very high on Jamar Chase, right?
Oh, hands down. He's just 100% better than DeVonta Smith.
Okay.
Like Jamar Chase is Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah. Well,
that's like the kind of dominance I can see from Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase is going to change a lot of people's heads. But to answer your question, hell no. Why? We're picking 7th, and when you're picking 7th, and your team is as bad as it's been on defense with all these damn backups, and as bad as it's been on offense, of all the picks you come up with, receiver can't be one. It can't. There's no reason for it. This is another one of those things where Lions fans get all hyped about a receiver. But like J-Mo just pointed out, with Justin Jefferson and the Vikings, I'll raise you one. We had a Calvin Johnson.
And we
still wasn't doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the Vikings had.
He didn't have Kenny G on the other side or not. Come on, it's a little.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. He had running mates. He had running mates with people like Titus Young. He had running mates with Golden Tate. He had running mates. I'm not going to play that game. We can go over to the Minnesota Vikings when they had Randy Moss and when they had Chris Carter. The receiver is an extension of the quarterback. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're telling me the Lions are getting ready to be picking in the top 10 of the 2022 draft, which I don't think we will be, you have to take a quarterback. You just have to. Why? Because I was waiting. I know my Twitter's going to get blew up with, man, we should go get Mac Jones. Bye. The play calling was beautiful in that game from Alabama. It was beautiful. And the reality is this. If the Lions take a receiver, then be prepared to be hearing other football news on the field review. Because I don't have the patience. That's a luxury pick. And we don't have the luxury of a luxury pick. We have too many gaping holes and too many things. A pick like a receiver is no different than a pick like Okuda. That's a pick for right now. I need to pick for the future. And so if we're not picking for the future, and unless you're telling me he can also play quarterback, then no. Plus, Jamar Chase is just better than him.
I actually agree with that one. I like Jamar Chase a little bit better.
He just is.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Jamar Chase, right, that LSU offense, he put up over 1,700 yards and 20 touchdowns, while Justin Jefferson put up over 1,500 yards and 18 touchdowns right beside him. Like, that is special stuff. So, I mean, I definitely get where you're coming from if you say Jamar Chase is the best receiver in the class, and I would totally agree with you. But so I have a question just because you mentioned Mac Jones. There's another quarterback that is projected to go a little bit later, and I don't have this down as a question, but I thought of it right now. It's Kyle Trask from Florida. I'm curious what you guys think about him because I've been watching him a little bit, and I think he has quite a bit of potential. I know stats aren't everything, but statistically, I mean, he was right on pace with Joe Burrow from last season. So I'd be curious to see what you guys think about that. Luke, we'll start with you just because you already mentioned a quarterback.
I'm okay with Trask. Not at 7, but I'm okay. I'm okay with him. But the problem with taking Trask is you're passing up on other talent that I think is a little bit better. Like there sometimes the one thing I look at with Trask is the same thing I looked at with Wilson. Go through all his progressions and everything. But Trask to me is like Phillip Rivers. He's got enough mobility to get away, but he's not mobile. And to me, when you're in the top 7, if you're thinking I'm going to take Trask later, when there's other quarterbacks behind you, other teams behind you who need a quarterback, I think it's foolish. I think it's foolish to try to wait any other round, then the first round, to take the replacement for Stafford. Right. And plus with Trask, it's some things about his game I don't like. I have had a lot of people ask me to do a film study. I actually finished it. I just got to edit the video. Between him and Newman, I've gotten quite a few questions about Newman from Wake Forest. I'm just going to tell you right now, not impressed with Newman.
No, not impressed with him?
Not impressed with Newman. Reminds me of Jason Campbell. It looked like he should be great, but he just don't seem to do it.
Right.
So that's my thoughts on Trask.
Very interesting. I was just curious because I know there's a lot of people that are high on Micah Parsons. There's a lot of people that, want linebacker first, want defensive line first, want front 7, something like that. So I just was curious, kind of gauging where you were at with that. Because obviously I like Micah Parsons a lot. I like a lot of the front 7 players that are in this draft. So I thought it was very curious. JMO, do you have anything to add on Kyle Trask? Have you seen anything out of him that you might like out of a quarterback that wasn't mentioned yet?
Well, I'm with you on the Michael Parsons thing. Like, I'm definitely, I don't want to take the quarterback 7th overall that's not going to play. But Kyle Trask is, I have a list. It's not that long of quarterbacks that I like. He's one of the quarterbacks that I like, but he's not a first round pick.
No, I
thought that's enough. I had a lot of personal thoughts where I'm picking him up in the later rounds and getting those defensive players.
Right.
So
done too.
Yeah, like I could easily see him going 2nd or a 3rd round. But no, I definitely like him as a quarterback, developmental. He has a nice arm. But he played around some good receivers, but I just like his moxie, and I think he's comfortable in the pocket. So he has to be able to be put in a good situation. He's one of the quarterbacks where he could easily bust if he goes to a trash team and has to carry him. But if he's sitting behind somebody in a better situation, he could blossom and end up being an absolute stud. So it's just about the situations you put him in, and I like him as a quarterback. He's not the best, but later, not a first round, I definitely would consider taking him.
Right. And, I did a mock draft the other day, just kind of on my own time, just kind of seeing what was, throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what would stick. And I got Kyle Trask at 72. I got him, relatively late. And, in my mock draft, I traded down a couple picks. I got some defensive players first. I got, Azeez Ojulari, Dylan Moses, Andre Sisco, and then Kyle Trask at 72. So, I think for me, the whole quarterback situation, a lot of people, to me, are, I guess they kind of think that the Lions need to go quarterback at 7, whereas I think there's a little bit of talent later in the rounds, maybe 2nd, day 2 kind of picks that can still be very solid. But again, that's a very hot topic, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a ton coming up to the draft. But I kind of wanted to get your quick thoughts on Kyle Trask, and then kind of just drafting a quarterback in general. Because
I just don't see how we take anything other than a quarterback at 7. I don't like as much as everybody loved Michael Parsons. Like I really believe he reminds me of James Harrison. If you telling me he's playing middle linebacker, he's Jerry Davis 2.0. I think he's better suited as an outside rush linebacker. In the 3-4. And in the 4-3, obviously I want him on the inside. I would still try my outside, but I prefer him on the inside. And that to me is not saying much. But if we take Michael Parsons, when are we going to talk about quarterback? Because if I looked at next year's quarterback class, and that's without me knowing who actually coming in and coming out, but projected to come out, and I'm not impressed.
No,
we won't be high enough to get him. You're going to have to be top 5.
That's what the other rounds are for.
Yeah, but that's my point.
Rounds are for.
That's my point, though. Like, do you feel like okay? Like, let me ask you a question. If you're sitting at 7, I'm just playing devil's advocate. If you're sitting at 7 and you can get, say, Patrick Mahomes at 7, or pass on Patrick Mahomes to pick up, say, Bobby Wagner. Because you feel you can get at least a quarterback the caliber of a Kirk Cousins in the later rounds, what would you do? Because I'm just looking at the standpoint that we're not going to be picking high enough to get that replacement, and I don't trust the Lions enough that they can make the right pick.
I feel like if you want a quarterback, you can get one. But I mean, considering Patrick Mahomes, he will be relieving, let's say, like a Drew Brees. I would take Bobby Wagner and then pick up the Dak Prescott quarterback. That's just what I would do, because one player is just not going to change it.
Right.
No, like I get, like, listen, like J-Mo, I get your point. I think you make a valid point. I'm just looking at it and trying to figure out where they do this at. Because if you take it Parsons,
Kyle Trask, I mean, not just him. I feel like it's a lot of second-round quarterbacks that I really think could be good. I mean, you saw Jalen Hurts get selected in the second round, and I don't even think he's better than some of these guys. And that, like I said, that's why you got another round for that.
Yeah, but I think
worst defense in the league, I just don't see how you take a quarterback.
Because I think if you look at it, I think it's easier to find defensive replacements in the later rounds than it is to quarterback. Because New England taking a quarterback, right? Like, they're doing it. Denver is taking a quarterback. They're doing it. That like, just on that back end half, like the Colts.
We saying now, though, if you build the team, you don't necessarily need, Patrick Mahomes.
Right, that's what I was gonna say.
Like, it's a lot of teams that Baker
Mayfield
Mayfield with the Browns, even though I know the Colts lost, but Phillip Rivers wasn't the best QB in the world. He's still very solid. But I mean, even Tom Brady is declining, but he looks good because of the team he's on. Like, so
right.
You don't necessarily need that. Like, if I could get a stud defensive player and then get a Dak Prescott, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Right. And then, Luke, earlier you even mentioned like a Kirk Cousins kind of quarterback. If you put a good team around Kirk Cousins, your team can go to the playoffs. I mean, obviously not this past season, but before they had a solid, inconsistent, but solid running game. They had a good defense. They went 10-6 and got to the divisional round. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that Kirk Cousins. That's not what I'm saying. But, I'm just saying you don't, like J-Mo was saying, you don't always need that Patrick Mahomes to be a successful team. I mean, Stafford's far better than, I think he's a top 10 quarterback. You can debate that. I think everybody can agree he's at least above average in the NFL. He hasn't won anything because the team around him has been bad for so many years.
But that's why
my thing is, though, I'm not saying these guys are not going to all be studs. That's not what I'm not, but I'm just not as sold on as this quarterback class as I was when Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson came out. So that's why I'm just like, Zach Wilson looks good. Justin Fields, I still have question marks about him. And then Trevor Lawrence, but like after that, I'm just like, it's no guy where I'm like, I believe in that guy. Like, I know he's gonna be that dude. And so if I'm struggling with that, I'm taking defense, and then I'm going to get a quarterback I know I can develop. So, because whoever that quarterback isn't even going to be playing.
I just look at it like this. This is how I look at it. One, the Lions' history has been draft quarterback and toss them to the wolves, and what they believe was a built team. And to me, giving a quarterback an opportunity to be mentor, I believe it was Kobe Bryant, RIP, who said one of the reasons he threatened to go somewhere else in LA if they didn't do everything in their power to get Phil Jackson is because he wants the best mentor he can get. And so for me, if you're looking at this team coming in, you got Stafford, you got Blau, you got Chase Daniels. Oh, I want to throw up just thinking about it. I'm trying to figure out when are we going to get his replacement? Because the replacement needs to be able to sit and be mentored by him. We got to change that fortune because we haven't been doing that. We just been tossing them to the wolves. Joey Harrington, like it just is what it is. Like we haven't had that, and so I just worry that okay, you go out and get Michael Parsons, and I'm like he's not going to change nothing on your defense like at all. Hell, Khalil Mack didn't change nothing for the Bears. I mean, look at the Bears defense just played playoff game. Where was he? Neutralized in one-on-one battles.
Right.
So just saying.
My thinking, you can still get a quarterback in another round, 2, 3, 4. It just as long as you address that is okay. And like when you looking at what Stafford's 33, just turned 33.
Yeah.
Like I'm not looking at getting a replacement right now. Yeah, when he's 36 and he's declining like what Green Bay thought Aaron Rodgers was doing, I said that in quotations, then we can start talking about that. But as long as the team is how it is, I'll get a quarterback in the second or third or fourth round and see if he has potential. But I don't understand 1 year developing around Stafford if they're going to move on. I don't think that would matter for that set quarterback. I really don't.
Oh, I'm not talking about 1 year.
Okay. See, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, if you want this quarterback to develop around Stafford, you need to re-sign Stafford so he can develop behind him.
No, you don't got to re-sign him. Stafford still has 2 years on his contract. So he got 1 year. After this season coming up, he'll have 1 year left. When his contract is up, you let Stafford walk and you toss in number 2.
Right. Yeah.
No, I keep saying this a million times, but it's the same thing the Chargers did. The difference is Phillip Rivers was washed. So they're like, all right, Phillip, we love you. 17 years, we drafting Justin Herbert the next season. So it can work out in a lot of different ways, man.
Right. Yeah.
Shout out to Michigan, though. We run this.
Well, I'm sure we'll get back to the quarterbacks later because there's another question involving a certain quarterback. So we'll move on to the next question. And the Lions this week, I believe this weekend it came out that they're interviewing at least 3 more head coaching candidates and defensive coordinator Todd Bowles from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New Orleans Saints assistant head coach Dan Campbell, and the Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. And my question to the panel is, do any of these guys intrigue you? Do you think any of these guys have potential to be head coaches for the Detroit Lions? And if you had to pick one of these 3, which one would you go with? JMO, we can start with you on this one.
Wait, you got Titans OC Arthur Smith. Who Campbell and who else?
Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator from Tampa Bay.
This man said Todd Bowles. Look, this is like I really didn't know who the third person was, and like let's just say I went into the world of maybe this third guy, whoever it's gonna be, maybe I'll pick him. And then you said Todd Bowles, and I'm like, oh hell. I'm like, I would take the dude from the Saints. I'm not taking the dude from the Titans because they got Derrick Henry. That's just me being biased. I feel like when you got Derrick Henry, a lot of people can put an offense around Derrick Henry or an Adrian or a dominant running back with play action and stuff like that. And if he was really that good, they wouldn't have lost to the Ravens. Only scoring 13 points is unacceptable. So I'm looking at that, but I would take the guy from the Saints. Only I don't really know that much about this guy. I'm not gonna act like I do, but I trust the Saints management and the way they build teams and their offensive philosophy. But yeah, I would take him before the other 2 guys. I know Bowles has experience, but I just don't trust him as a head coach.
Right, and I think that makes sense, and I think it came out that the Lions actually really liked, Dan Campbell. I think it came out, I believe I read that correctly, where it said that he was the organization was very high on Dan Campbell, so I think that he's a very likely person to get the job. Obviously, I'm hoping Robert Saleh, but I think if you're looking at top candidates right now, I think Dan Campbell's up there because it seems like the organization likes him. It seems like the interview went well. I think I even saw something that Ed Dodds likes him and would be willing to work with him. So I think that's very interesting. Luke, what's your take on this?
I don't want none of them.
No,
I don't. This whole idea of trying to
Wait, I
turn
thought
this.
we had to pick one. I would have said none.
Oh, you don't have to pick one. I just said if you.
Oh no, I thought I was.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want none of them. Like I got a very strict criteria. It is very. Listen, okay, I'm finna. Unpopular opinion coming, people.
I'm sure.
I was gonna say this for something different, but I'm gonna just go ahead and do it right now. Out of all three of them guys you named, I would take Marvin Lewis over all of them.
Yeah.
I would take Marvin Lewis over all of them.
I would too.
In fact, I'm not so sure that we shouldn't sign Marvin Lewis as the next head coach. If for some reason that Saleh just decided that he don't want to come here, or maybe they decided they didn't want to go, whatever. I still would take Marvin Lewis over them. And one of the reasons I say that is because of the same reason I pointed out with Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid, the best thing Andy Reid ever did is when he signed, he went to a totally different conference. He had been in the NFC for so long that people just knew what he did. And when he went to the AFC, he got a chance to do some adjustments and some changes and makes a difference. And if you look at my criteria, the number one thing on the board is a person who has a history of building a program. Mm-hmm. Before Marvin Lewis, the Bengals were an afterthought. Marvin Lewis gets there, and the Bengals are relevant. And yes, I know that he never got fired and everything like that, but it was a lot of talent that was brought there. They had a lot of other circumstances. Nonetheless, that team was competing and was upsetting teams. It just couldn't get over the hump too often. And so for me, and I looked at when I looked at Marvin Lewis coming to the NFC, I said, yeah, that could be the switch that he needs, which is one of the mistakes that Rex Ryan made. Staying in the AFC because he hated the Patriots and Bill Belichick so much, he was going to take whatever team got to play them twice. That's why you saw him go from the Jets to the Bills. He just wanted to play Bill Belichick and beat him. He could not stand that team. Go ahead.
No, you said that could work, and this is the thing with Marvin Lewis. I don't know. Only for a lot of Lions fans, a lot of fans, you only focus on a person's faults and not what they're actually doing. Look, I know he ain't the best coach in the world, but I've been watching Cincinnati because I've been on this earth, and they were very, very, very competitive. I mean, I used to watch them beat stacked Steeler teams. So he's built that team. Yes, they lost. Who cares? It's about getting an upgraded head coach, man. And I think a lot of Lions fans should look at him a little bit more, because if we don't get these shining objects, you need somebody that's stable,
right?
That can build something,
right.
He's proven to do that.
And that's the point. Like, if you were to go through and look at a list of head coaches, who can you say out of the list that we got in Campbell, Arthur, and Bowles, who has built a program?
Yeah,
literally.
I think that's fair. Yeah,
that's
why. I would say Bowles' best season came on the heels of Rex Ryan's team, and when that team was blew up, he was hot garbage thereafter. Couldn't even get past. His record was just about the same as Matt Patricia's, and so to me, he can't do it. We need people who has already seen this atmosphere before. Plus, I hate to say this, but it's the truth. If you sign Marvin Lewis, you get 2 more picks, because you signed a minority coach. So, I mean, you get a minority coach, you get 2 more picks, and he know how to build a program and coach.
Right. That's funny that you said that. But if you look at all of the coaching candidates that I wanted, most of the guys are basically offense. Marvin Lewis, they're both offense and defense, but they all had experience. And I mentioned Doug Pederson before he even got fired. I'm like, you look. Hey, I saw what he did in Philly, but Ryder, it's one thing I wanted to answer. He said, "So Stafford, do you invest more in Stafford this year on offense? At what point do you start bringing in assets for the heir apparent?" My thing is the assets should be the same. You get long-term guys. That's why you sign Kenny Golladay regardless. So whatever asset you get for Stafford should be there in the next few years to help the other quarterback.
Right. No, I think that's very fair. But going back to Marvin Lewis, because I know this was a big thing with Jim Caldwell when he was here. Is Jim Caldwell built a very competitive team, right? I mean, we were going 9.
No, he didn't.
I mean, competing. We were in the playoffs 9-7.
But he didn't build a team. See, that's the problem. See, listen, first of all, I got respect for Jim Caldwell, but Jim Caldwell can only do so much. Jim Caldwell didn't build the Lions team. He took over a team that had great pieces, and when he got the chance to build it, when they was trying to add people like Aaron Donald, he went for other options, right? And isn't to say that he didn't build a coach neither. The minute the coach, he went to the Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's team. The minute that we got past that, and he had to start putting his people in place, the coach became real. Then Peyton got hurt, and it got real. No adjustments, no nothing, much of the same. So I wouldn't even give him that credit of saying he built the program because we were winning. What he did was he went from the AFC to the NFC, and that does makes a difference. It just does.
Right. So it doesn't worry you at all that Marvin Lewis doesn't seem to win big games. Like in the playoffs, he just doesn't seem to be the guy to get you there. Does that not concern you, or is
this
that
my
Marvin's
thing.
problem?
Have you actually watched those big games? Because I've seen like all of them, and I've seen things happen in those games that Marvin Lewis can't control. Like when Vontaze Burfict decided to murder Antonio Brown when they had I will never forget this, bro. The game was 26-23, I think. They were about to win the game. Vontaze murders Antonio Brown, puts them in range for like a touchdown or a field goal, and they lose, bro. Like, you can't blame Marvin Lewis for that, bro.
No, I'm not saying that was
he should have prevented Vontaze from being crazy. But if you actually watch the games that they choked in, a lot of times it was the players crumbling.
J-Mo, it's funny because I was a huge fan of Vontaze Burfict. He was a guy that I felt like the line needed to take him and take him high. The aggression, the disrespect, the way he played, I wanted all that. But you're right, he did kill the
No, bro, it was about to be the first time Cincinnati won a playoff game. And I'm like, oh, they finally about to do it. And Vontaze was like, fourth down. It was fourth down.
Dude, the game was over. That was
now there's some negatives though. There's some negatives on him though. I know that Carson Palmer was not thrilled with the things that was happening. He said that he didn't have a problem necessarily with Marvin, but he had issue with the way that Cincinnati handled things, and that's why he wanted out of there and was ready to retire. But the reality is this. Marvin Lewis it's not like he's just got a clean history, but he's had to deal with some stuff, and I don't think he necessarily always responded well with that. But the problem is he built a program. The coaches who came afterwards just was hot garbage. Like, you got to take that. They did the same thing Patricia did. You had a team with enough talent for you to win now, not go 6 wins, not go 3 wins, but win now. And he failed. And to me, that's where the problem come in at.
To me, experience matters. Like, say whatever you want about Caldwell, and I have no way to prove this, but I feel like if he was a first-time head coach, when we start off 1-7, we probably end up 3-13. It's certain points in a season where you have these guys like Patricia and people just who don't have experience. You got to be able to go through this, because a lot of these coaches are new guys looking for a new opportunity. As much as y'all don't like guys like Marvin Lewis and Harbaugh and Doug Pederson, they done been through the ups and downs of a season. So when crazy things go on, you need somebody to bring you back. Marvin Lewis has a ton of flaws, but he's more proven and accomplished than all these other guys, and he does have a 500 record, even if it's a couple games over it. Like, I just don't understand why Lions fans can't just look a little bit deeper than a shiny object and get somebody who's gonna lead your team, because we always get the shiny object and we always end up right back here.
Every time.
Right.
I remember Lions fans were so excited. We got Patricia. They just came up to one of the best defenses in the Super Bowl. Because of Patricia's defense, our defense about to be lit. Set it on fire, man. Terrible, man. Terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
just terrible.
I got no problem with Marvin Lewis. I don't think he's the best head coach available, but I also don't think that he's, a bad head coach in any sense of the term. I mean, like you guys said, he has a history of building things up. He's got a history of winning football games. And at the end of the day, can you ask more out of your head coach than to win games?
Like, plus, I'm going to show you something that I've always paid attention to. Before Marvin Lewis became the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, what was he? Do anybody know?
He was the defensive coordinator of the Ravens.
Yeah.
And who was behind that defense of 2000?
Marvin Lewis.
Marvin Lewis.
Now, let's fast forward. I just want to show you how this stuff translates. Let's fast forward. Look at the Bengals. The Bengals have had some killer defense. I don't care what nobody say. I mean, they have had some killer defenses.
For sure, yeah.
There's one position that I've always said, man, they can just get that one position right. But as you see from Steve-O, he had to battle these cheap owners in Cincinnati. And I'm telling you, like, look at some of the players he took. He took Taylor Mays. They didn't give him a chance to utilize him, but he took him. He took people like Vontaze Burfict, who people said was a head case. He didn't care. He was like, he's aggressive. He took people like Geno Atkins that nobody was thinking about. Dunlap and all these other picks. And yes, they've had some high draft picks.
One of their running backs was really, really low pick too.
That's what I'm saying. They've had some people. They had Rudy Johnson, who was balling in there and got to Detroit and forgot he could play football. So I'm just saying, like there's some things there. Chad Johnson, he loved Chad Johnson. He said I saw an interview where he said when he first met Chad Johnson, he said Chad told him, "Coach, I respect you and I love you. If you don't pick me, I'm gonna beat you every time I see you, and then I'm gonna tell you." What did he say? He said, "I'm gonna tell you why your team suck, and it's all gonna be because of me." And he was just like, I was impressed at that kind of moxie. He had the room. They've had tight ends, they've had receivers, they've had running backs, but what they have never had.
Marvin Jones did come from there. I forgot.
Yeah, he did.
And Sanu
too with Marvin Lewis.
and that's my point. So it's like all those people that you look at that he brought in and said, "Hey, this is talent." I'm just saying, Marvin Lewis might give us I know for me, he gives me, because you can't get Jim Harbaugh. So I want somebody who can right. I want somebody who can build a program. Period.
Sorry, JMO.
No, I mean, look, I'm crying tears. I've been trying to get this man back to the NFL and away from my team for so long, and we just want to keep him.
He was.
He took a pay cut though, didn't he? Did he take a pay cut?
I don't care what he did, bro. Get rid of this man, dog. Angelo says, y'all getting me excited for Marvin. Look, we not selling you a bag of dreams, but I'll just say he should be in all of y'all top 3 for head coach.
Yeah,
hands down.
No, definitely. He should not be somebody you should be looking off. Like, if you love Saleh or you love whoever you love, cool. But he need to be in your top 3, and he not 3.
Plus, you got to look at it. If you put Saleh next to Marvin Lewis, and you say, who has more of a history of building a team? Marvin Lewis checks the box. Yeah. Who has more of a history of dealing with prima donnas? Because I can promise you, between T.J. Houshmandzadeh and Chad Johnson and Carson Palmer, he's dealt with that already. And that was just the offense. I could have named more on the offense that he had to deal with. Right? He went out and got a Jermaine Gresham because he believed in the talent. He believed in talent first. So he checked that box. And being able to motivate his players to play for him. It was Cincinnati. They were upsetting Pittsburgh on a regular. They was they was giving people all kinds of fits. And then look at Cincinnati. Since he been gone, Cincinnati has been a joke.
Right.
An absolute joke. To me, it's like the Detroit Tigers when all the fans wanted Jim Leland gone. I was like, why? We relevant? We relevant. We're getting better. Yeah, we have some downtime, but overall, we're good. Why you want to get rid of him? Get rid of Larry Brown. All he did was come here and gave you what you asked for, was a championship. Why you want Larry gone?
Right.
So no. Marvin Lewis should be high on y'all list.
Right. And I think Devin99 brings up a good point, is Marvin Lewis has hired and developed some decent coordinators too. I mean, you look at Mike Zimmer, he's been very successful with the Vikings, right? They started the season horribly, and would they finish 7-9 this season after like a 1-6 start? Like, I mean, he's developed some good coordinators too in his time. So I think that's, I mean, obviously a part of coaching is developing your coaching staff, right? Getting the right coordinators, getting them to the highest potential that they can be. So I think that's another thing that, Devin99 brings up is he's going to get players here. He's going to build you a good team, but he's also going to get you coordinators that can call a game. And I think that's part of it too.
Right.
So, all right, moving on to the next question, unless somebody has one more thing they want to add to it. All right. So we've mentioned Doug Pederson a couple times, and there have been a couple mentions of Doug Pederson in the comments section. And my next question is, with the Philadelphia Eagles relieving head coach Doug Pederson of his duties, rumors are circulating that he's a potential fit in Detroit. I mean, he's an experienced coach. He's an experienced coach. He's a Super Bowl champion, obviously built up a decent team in Philadelphia when they won the Super Bowl. So there's been a couple rumors, things circulating that he might be a good fit in Detroit with a veteran quarterback, a guy that he doesn't have to develop at quarterback, stuff like that. So would you consider Doug Pederson to be the next head coach? JMO, we'll start with you because you've mentioned Doug Pederson a couple of times now.
Yeah, I've been mentioning Doug Pederson for a couple of months, and I'll say this. I'm a little bit interested because I didn't actually think he was going to get fired because I was assuming the little Jalen Hurts fiasco was something he discussed with ownership, and I thought him and ownership was on the same page. So the reason why I'm interested and not fully on board because I'm like, so why did ownership decide to pull the trigger on you? Right. That has me wondering.
I can answer that for you.
Go ahead.
No, but go ahead.
The reason they pulled the trigger on him is because ownership and him did have the same idea that they wanted to keep their draft position and not lose draft position. They were going to go for the tank. But what ended up happening was the NFL decided to say, we're going to investigate this because this is weird. And on top of it, the backlash from season ticket holders and fans alike, and as well as players. The players and everybody was like, what kind of BS is this? We want to win all the way. And if you're not about winning, we don't want to have it. And once that happened, you had players on the sideline trying to fight them. Ownership decided.
No, I knew the backlash. Like I knew the player. Like on the day of the game, they talked about it. But you saying this all basically just boiled over.
But what I'm saying is that ownership was good with it until the backlash happened, and so they simply said, "Oh, this didn't go the way we thought that people was going to be happy."
So they gave him that Darrell Bevel treatment.
Yep. Yep. They blamed him. And said, "Yeah, he lost the locker room," which he did. Because it came down from ownership that they wanted this. I'm telling you, there's no way he decided to make a move like that without it coming down from ownership.
No, if anybody knows anything about anything, there's no way you take Jalen Hurts out that game unless ownership tells you to.
Right.
So, right. Okay, well, so back to this. All right. Well, now that I know that, to me, he's still one of my coaching candidates. Like my top four, Harbaugh is not going to be here, but it's him, Saleh, and Marvin Lewis. Those are the guys that I like. I'm okay with bringing Doug Pederson here. He showed he can build a program, and even after Stafford, he showed that at least if you draft a Carson Wentz, he can take him somewhere as long as he doesn't get the yips, because that's what happened to Carson. But I like him as a coach. I don't think he's a bad football coach. That's just the way I think. Can you build and can you compete? And his play calling, at his best when he had Frank Reich, of course, was next level. And he still has some creativity. Like I said, he's not a bad football coach. I want an offensive head coach that has experience. My only caveats are, Marvin Lewis, he was both, and then Saleh because he's a DC. But other than that, I'm okay with Doug Pederson.
Right. And I think Doug Pederson's a very interesting candidate because, a lot of people say, oh, we want experience. Oh, we want a guy that can develop a program. We want a guy that has proven he can go far and can win Super Bowls and, can build a program like you are saying. And Doug Pederson has done that. And then the Lions fans turn around and say he's a bad coach. That's it's very interesting because I mean, I feel like as Lions fans, we're very bipolar when it comes to that. We say we want one thing, and then when a guy like that becomes available, we turn around and say, "Well, I don't want that guy." So, I mean, I think Doug Peterson, I think he could be a decent coach. Like Jamo said, I don't think he's a bad coach. I don't think he's stupid. I mean, yeah, did he pull Jalen Hurts out, with a 3-point game or whatever in the final game? Yeah, he did. Was that absolutely stupid of him? I think so. I don't think you tank like that. I just don't. I think that's how you build a losing culture. But,
It's like the way you said that made me laugh. My fault, bro. I'm just
nah, you're fine.
no, it's crazy.
But I mean, yeah, is Doug Peterson made some poor decisions? I mean, yeah, I mean, he's not a perfect head coach, but I mean, are you going to find a more experienced head coach out there right now, other than maybe Marvin Lewis? Are you going to? How many other guys are out there that have won Super Bowls and taken teams to Super Bowls?
My thing is, when a coach is getting fired, he's not coming from a good situation. He's coming from a lot of scrutiny and a lot of people calling him garbage, most likely, right? Because he got fired. So. Right. Whatever you think about Doug Pederson, he's going into a different situation now. He's not the coach that was just terrible with the Eagles and got fired because he lost his job. And that's what I don't think a lot of people, they can't compartmentalize that and separate it. Like, he ain't the same. He ain't the guy who just got fired. He'll be a different person as a coach because at least, hoping for new beginnings. Like, I'm not going to dwell on that dumpster fire that was the Eagles, man.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a fair thing to state too. I mean, obviously the situation in Detroit is very different from the situation in Philadelphia, especially at the quarterback situation. And that's where I think Doug Peterson gets a lot of his hate from is, I think he mishandled the Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts and whoever
Nick Foles
quarterback was, Nick Foles, whoever he put in week 17. I don't even know the dude's name. I mean, I feel like the quarterback situation there was mishandled by him. And I think that's where a lot of his critics come from. And that's where a lot of his critics point is look at the quarterback situation. And that's kind of one thing that, scares me about Doug Peterson is, the Lions might not have Stafford forever. I mean, we already talked about it on this panel. We're going to have to get the successor at some point. And if we get that successor, is Marvin Lewis going to do any better? Or not Marvin Lewis. Is Doug Peterson going to do any better at developing our next guy than he was at developing Jalen Hurts? Is he going to be any better than he was developing Carson Wentz? I think that's a very interesting point to look at it from too, because I mean, yeah, at this point we have a veteran quarterback, but how long is Stafford going to be here? A year, 2 years, and then you're going to throw in a young guy for Doug Peterson to develop yet again? I think that's kind of my knock on him is, he kind of mishandled that situation, the quarterback situation, and that's what scares me about Doug Peterson. I don't think he's a bad coach per se, but I think some of the flaws that he's shown, and obviously everybody has flaws, but I just think some of the flaws that he's shown.
So are you saying, I'm not saying that you're saying this, but I'm asking, are you saying he broke Carson Wentz? That's what you're saying?
He broke Carson Wentz, but I don't think Carson Wentz right now is at the level he could be at. I don't think Carson Wentz is playing at the best. I don't think he's.
And you think that's more Doug Peterson than Carson?
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, was Carson Wentz not playing at an MVP level a couple years ago?
Yeah, but to me, if Jalen Hurts can come in and look as good as he did, and I'm not saying he looked that good, look at his number, they're pedestrian, but it was good enough to win them and can keep them competitive. If a guy who isn't better than Carson Wentz can come in there and at least look like that, what does that say about the way that Carson was playing? And that's why I led to, so did he break Carson or is this Carson's fault? Because looking at Carson Wentz, he don't have the receivers. O-line is trash. He's not surrounded by a lot. I know that. But it's the difference between not being surrounded by a lot and making mistakes and then just doing stupid stuff. And this season, I just saw Carson Wentz doing a lot of stupid stuff. But last season, he wasn't doing that stuff. So it's just what happened to you, Carson? You carried a trash team to 8 wins, whatever. You get the same situation and you look like the worst quarterback in the league. So I'm like, what happened?
Right. I mean, I think by himself, Carson Wentz had more turnovers than 4 or 5 different NFL franchises had. So
yeah. So it's so you blaming Doug Peterson for his fall, or I
mean, I'm just throwing ideas out there. I'm just trying to look at it from every perspective.
Yeah.
But we have one last question. I have one last question prepared. So if you're in the chat, if you're putting in comments, if you have any questions for us, any questions you want to see answered, please leave them down in the comments right now as we answer this final question. And of course, after that, we will get to your fan suggestions. We'll get to the comments and we will do our best to answer all of those. But the final question and a storyline that has been surrounding the NFL for the last couple of, days, weeks, whatever, is that Deshaun Watson is unhappy in Houston. He's unhappy with the Texans organization. They said they were going to bring him in. They said they were going to let him help with the GM search. They said they were going to let him help with the head coaching search. And then they go out and hire somebody that he absolutely does not want. And Deshaun Watson seems unhappy. There are rumors that he might get traded. There are rumors that he's asking for a trade, that he's going to ask for a trade. And of course, when there's a quarterback on the market as good as Deshaun Watson, there are going to be rumors from almost every NFL team. And I've seen my fair share of ones for the Detroit Lions. So my question to you two is, should the Lions consider trading for Deshaun Watson? Should they try to acquire the franchise quarterback? And if so, what would you be willing, or what would you want the Detroit Lions to give up in order to acquire Watson? Now, Luke, I'll start with you on this one because I'm very curious to see where your head is at. No, there it is.
NFL teams need to learn that they got to stop paying these quarterbacks. And the reason you got to stop doing this is because they keep missing the most basic function of a successful team. The Patriots were good because Tom Brady took pay cuts. I'm going to say it again. The Patriots were good because Tom Brady took pay cuts. He wanted talent on all sides of the ball that can help the team win. If you bring in a guy like Deshaun Watson, who I believe just got a new contract, correct?
Yes, this past offseason he did. Yep.
So you bring him in, he goes out and ball out, because now all that guaranteed money going to be paid out to him from the Texans. He's going to turn to the Lions and say, I need this amount of money after one season. Now, for some Lions fans, because it's Deshaun Watson, they're like, I pay him that money too. Then pay him the money and expect not to win. Don't believe me? He got paid now, balled his butt off. They went 4-12 as a team. Not his fault.
No.
Just like when Stafford would ball out and the team wouldn't win. Not his fault neither. Now, would I trade for him? No, because the price tag is going to be too damn high, like the rent. And at the end of the day, it's going to cost you at least 2 first-round picks, some players, and some conditional picks on top of that. That price tag is too much for my blood. It's too much. And I believe that if you handle things right in this draft, do it the right way in this draft, you can set yourself up to get somebody that can do similar things as a Deshaun Watson without having to mortgage your entire next 2 years of draft. Otherwise, we're going to end up looking like what the Texans did in the first place with all them dumb trades, and what the Bears did when they traded for Khalil Mack. And I don't think this is a franchise who can survive not having draft capital. I just don't think that's a possibility. So for me, no, I'm not pulling the trigger on that trade.
Right. And I think that's a very interesting way to look at it. I mean, a lot of people, I think, get caught up in Deshaun Watson, right? He's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He's putting up elite MVP style numbers. But, if we were to trade for Deshaun Watson, at least in my opinion, and this is my take on it, we wouldn't be in any better situation than we are with Stafford. I mean, Stafford for so many years put up all these numbers. I mean, he at the time was one of 8 quarterbacks to pass for 5,000 yards in a season. He passed for 40 touchdowns that season. I mean, he played great. He's played great for a long time for this Lions team, and they've never won a playoff game in over a decade. If we were to go get Deshaun Watson, and this is kind of going along with what Luke said, would we be a better football team with Deshaun Watson? And how much better will Deshaun Watson make this team as an upgrade to Matt Stafford? Because I'm not saying, Stafford's better than Watson. That's not what I'm trying to get across. That's not what I'm saying. But how much better would this team get with Deshaun Watson? Even if it was an even trade, Stafford for Watson, like player for player, those are the only two, changes on the roster. How much better do the Lions get? 1 win, 2 wins better. Like, for me, I think it's just like Luke said, way too much capital to give up, especially for a team that has so many holes already, a team that has very limited draft capital, a team that has very limited cap space as it is. I don't think the Lions can afford it. And personally, I don't know how much better the Lions would get even if they were to trade for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, the trade would start off with 2 firsts, Stafford. I guarantee you, Stafford got to be a part of that trade.
Yeah, I was like, what are you going to do with Stafford?
Huh?
And that's what I was going to say. Well, how are you going to trade for Deshaun Watson with Stafford on the
No,
team?
Houston ain't stupid. If they giving you Watson, they taking that pick at 7 and Stafford. And
I guarantee you, if that happened, Houston would be better next season.
They would, because you're going to come off with something totally different. You're going to come off with something totally different. They're going to be able to get some things different. And if Houston is picking that 7 and they decide that they want to take a receiver, let them. I'm not a Houston fan. I don't give a care what the hell they do.
But see, that would probably fit them more than us doing it.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
because if they did all of those moving pieces and stuff, like it would fit them more. And Ryder, you were asking, like, I don't think if we had Watson this year, I think we probably had the same record, or seriously. And I think Houston might have one or two wins more or less because their division is a little bit weaker. But the only reason I'm not gonna get Deshaun Watson is, look, I know a lot of y'all want Stafford going, cool, but no quarterback is that much better than Stafford right now to where you need to be trading him for another QB. Maybe in a few years, but not now. The gap is too close. I mean, I still got Stafford as a top 10 QB. I don't care if you disagree or not or where you have him, but no QB is that much better than Stafford that you'd be trading 2 firsts and probably more capital to go get a guy. If you want a quarterback that bad, take your damn QB at 7. Like to me, it would be the stupidest thing ever to get Deshaun Watson when if you truly want a replacement, you could just draft a dude at 7.
Just pretty much.
Like I don't want them to do that, but if you was telling me get Deshaun Watson or 7 quarterback, I'm gonna say 7 quarterback every time.
Yeah.
So, and it's nothing to do with Deshaun. He's freaking amazing. He's phenomenal. But it's nothing to do with his talent. But we just saw Deshaun Watson for the first time in his entire life in the same situation as Matthew Stafford has been, and they won 4 games. One of them wins was against us. So that shows you.
I was just going to say that. I was just saying to show you how trash our defense is. He lit us on fire. But then nobody said he padded stats when he was still lighting us up in the 4th. But whatever.
Right, and their defense was slightly better than ours this year too. So it just is what it is, man. So no, I wouldn't take any quarterback. Deshaun, Mahomes, none of them are that much better to where I got to give up all of this capital when I'm sitting 7th overall if I really wanted to think of a replacement.
With this draft class, it's like this. Listen, it's one of the reasons why I went off last year about taking a cornerback, because I'm like, and people say, oh, we got to get a receiver. And I'm like, with that draft class, you can find a receiver in any round.
Right, yeah.
No. And now we're back at the same situation, and we're back to square one. And you know what's funny? The position that I thought we should have took, which was a safety / linebacker, what are our weaknesses on this defense? Safety and linebacker. I don't, everybody say I'm crazy until it happens. Until it happens.
All righty. Well, that's all I got for, today. That's all the pre-setup questions for the panel today. And before we get into the fan questions, I would like to ask, we do have 28 people in the building tonight with only 12 likes. If we could get those likes up, people, that would be amazing. I'd be super appreciative for it. It'd be so awesome for you to do so. But getting into the first fan question, and I paused here on the comments because this is the first question I saw. Top 3 coaching candidates. Everybody list theirs. And we kind of talked about this a little bit, so you don't got to elaborate a ton. But JMO, who are your top 3 coaching candidates?
Marvin Lewis, Robert Saleh, and Doug Pederson.
All right, Luke.
My number 1, David Shaw. I'm not gonna get him, but that's who I want. I've been on the David Shaw train for a while. Just saying. Number 2. It's got to be Marvin Lewis. He meets my criteria in every way possible. And then at number 3, which, I know I'm going to get some, some more unpopular opinions about this. But number 3, I think I might call Harbaugh and tell him, what did Michigan pay you? We'll double it.
I mean, I want Harbaugh, but I just don't think it's happening. I'm still
it's not.
Like
it's not. But that would be my 3 though, because I'm consistent in my belief that I want experience in somebody who has built a program. If I'm going to go with somebody that's a new face, then yeah, I'll take a Robert Saleh. I'll take anybody that's a new face. But if I want to go with my criteria, which is somebody with experience, somebody who has a proven record of building a program, Robert Saleh don't fit that. He doesn't have a record of building a program.
Like all the Lions fans, you should want that. Like you shouldn't. I'm not saying Saleh's not going to be a great coach. That's not. I just like, why would you want another project? Like why wouldn't you want somebody that's proven? I don't understand sometimes with Lions fans.
Right.
Yeah.
I know you want Saleh too. It's just like Marvin Lewis, like, hey man, we don't know what Saleh will be able to bring here. You can have all that fire and we can still lose. Jim Schwartz did it pretty well.
Right. And I totally get where you're coming from with that. Like, I love Robert Saleh. If he were here, I think this team would get significantly better. He's definitely on my top 3. I think Marvin Lewis is up there just because, again, very experienced, very proven head coach. And then my number 3, and I've mentioned him several times, and this is kind of my David Shaw, but I like PJ Fleck out of Minnesota. You know, I know he's not coached at the NFL level, but he has a track record of building up good programs. He took a 1-11 Western Michigan team to like 13-1 in a couple of years. He took, I think, a 5-7 Minnesota team to, an Outback Bowl champion, 11-2 finish. Like, I mean, he has a history of building up programs, and I know it's at the college level, but I mean, if you can coach football and build up programs and inspire players, you can do it at any level. So I think that's my 3rd head coach.
Okay. Listen, I can't even argue with that, because to me, as long as they meet that criteria of being able to build a program, I could care less. You gotta have a program.
Didn't you say something about like we should dabble, well, in general, dabble more into the college ranks?
We should, because if you're going to get somebody that's going to be able to know the talent coming out, especially at this point, the college coaches know the talent that come out. They've been paying attention to these kids since high school, and so they know what these guys are who are coming out. It's one of the reasons why the minute Cliff Kingsbury got a chance to make his pick, he was like, I couldn't get Kyler at my college, but I can get him on my NFL team. They know what they know, so it just is what it is. And like I said, whenever you have legitimate support and control, you get better results. So, but to me, I'm really trying to stay away from newbies. The last newbie we had after the first season, I was done. I was like, I've seen enough. Please don't. I don't even want to talk about it. It was a travesty. I don't even like mentioning his name, but the reality is he a part of our history. And every time I think about it, Lions fans who wanted to get this man a 3rd season, but meanwhile the Eagles is firing the first coach to get them a Super Bowl. I don't understand what we're talking about. The man had his first bad season, got fired. But we need to give him 3 years to change the culture. That dude won the Super Bowl in his 2nd season with a backup. But that ain't none of my business. I'm gonna mind my business and let my fan base and Pride Nation keep saying random crazy stuff. And I'm gonna be right here waiting when they go left. Hey, you gonna know then.
Yeah. Well, I want to welcome to the live stream a 4th member of our DSA panel tonight, Mr. Speakeasy Podcast. How you doing tonight?
What up, though, man? I apologize for being late. I was at the gym, but if you guys are wrapping it up, I'm sorry. I just want to say what up, though.
What up, though, man? You know you want to know Jim working out. Stop lying.
Come on, man. Come on,
you at the gym, man. Come on. You ain't got a lot of kick it. What you benching? Like 110?
Oh,
115?
It's a different kind of gym. It's that jiu-jitsu. You know how I get down.
Yeah. You do like fighting. I don't know why you got a healthy love for it, but I'm not judging. It's just interesting. It's just interesting.
It's here's a real talk. The Lions are the one that drove me to the sport, for real.
Damn.
It's not
What?
Yeah.
They drove you to the sport.
Man, it's not fully like solely on the Lions. Some of it's like NFL refereeing and officiating and whatnot. But like, yeah, man, like MMA is mano y mano. You know what I'm saying? It's no referee to like not call flag or like, review a play that was a touchdown and say it's not a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? There's none of that. It's just 2 guys in the ring and you guys settle it. You know what I'm saying? There's no offsides or like holding or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. You
Super
have been
competitive.
talking some blasphemy in our chat though, but I ain't mad at you.
All
Hey,
right.
I was saying a lot, bro. It's been mad. Which part?
All of it. All of
Oh.
it. All of it. But go ahead, Ryder.
All right, easy. Well, we're not quite done yet. We're just reading some questions up from chat. And if you'd like to answer the first one on screen, do you think the Lions are taking too long to hire a GM?
No, I don't think so. So how many teams are searching for GMs right now? I know it's the Lions. I know
7.
Denver,
8 teams.
Denver, Jets,
Jags,
Jags.
you know what I'm saying. So it's not,
Chargers, Falcons.
Chargers.
yeah, it's not just like a Lions thing. It's the
Right.
league
Yeah,
kind of filling out the process. A lot of candidates. I would say for sure, like more than any other time. And obviously we've been through this like tons of times with Detroit Lions, like going through like revamping up the front office and whatnot. This has been the time I feel like where there's a lot of names. There's a lot of names to sift through. But beforehand, I feel like it was probably like 3 or 4 names, whoever like to look at. So I think there's a lot of candidates out there. There's a lot of teams searching. So it's going to take some time, and I'm not mad at it. I know that everyone who's applying for the job is doing their due diligence and making sure they're ready to prepare to draft and whatnot. And it's normal. It ain't nothing to trip over for sure.
Right.
I just look at it like it's like you don't rush to get a wife. You don't rush to have kids. Why are you rushing to get the right person for the job? Like I don't. The moment you rush to do something, you bound to get a more expensive problem. We tried to be cheap and go with who the fans wanted, somebody from New England, and now look at us. We rushed to it. We interviewed like 2 people in him. 2 people in him. We already done doubled that number, tripled that number. So
and you got to remember too, some people just doing the Wayne Rooney interview just to get out the way. You know what I'm saying? It's like
right.
Yeah.
Right. It just don't make no sense to me to say we taking too long. We're not taking too long because like, what if the guy that they want to interview is John Dorsey, and now here you are with a chance to get John Dorsey and you get him? Was that too long for the right guy?
Yep. And what if you hire someone and then someone like that becomes available or just like is interested? You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to rush to make the wrong decision. Exactly what Luke said.
Right. All right. So next question, and I'll throw this one over to JMO. What's the difference between Jim Caldwell and Marvin Lewis?
This is gonna sound funny, but the difference is Marvin Lewis is a better version of Jim Caldwell.
Facts. Facts.
I mean, like that's really what it is. He's like, if you can Jim Caldwell and you can do upgrade, you would get Marvin Lewis, man. And I think the fact that Marvin Lewis was able to like win his division when it was tough, and the Lions had a lot of games that Caldwell dropped, and in a lot of years where it was some swing games. I just feel like Marvin Lewis would have had us in a better spot these last 5 years if we had Caldwell instead of him. And if you put Caldwell in Cincinnati, it wouldn't have looked too good. But simple as that, Marvin Lewis is a better version of Caldwell.
Plus, Marvin Lewis wasn't afraid to change the defense up based on his personnel. They've been 3-4 and 4-3. They've lost coordinators and switched the defense to something else. On top of that, Marvin Lewis has built programs. Caldwell has not. Marvin Lewis has found talent from top to bottom in the draft and found ways to get them included. And if they didn't, he's been willing to say, yep, that was a mistake. I'm not going to waste more energy on them. Caldwell was like, no, I believe in you. I want you to know I believe in you. So you got to start to show me something. Whereas for Marvin Lewis, it was like, you did show me something. It's over. And then the biggest difference is this. Look at the offense under Jim Caldwell. When Jim Caldwell's a head coach, offenses ain't out there just boom, 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 firing on all cylinders. But the defense under Marvin Lewis was firing on all cylinders way too often. And he's had a number of good defensive linemen to show up, and linebackers and safeties and cornerbacks that you can look at and say, yep, they performed.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I think, Marvin Lewis is just better than, I think he's just a better version of Jim Caldwell. I think you guys that's exactly how I felt about it. All right, so I'll throw this one over to Luke because he was talking about this earlier. And Greg, Mr. Greg, says, So what's the solution? Because even Patrick Mahomes got paid. Eventually, you have to pay your franchise quarterback. Obviously, going back to talking about Deshaun Watson making a ton of money. So, Luke, what's your response to this one?
My solution is for you to be a team that draft well. The problem is most of these teams don't never have enough competition behind the person that they deem to be the franchise quarterback. And so what happens is they go out and they ball out to get that paycheck, and when they get it, they don't always perform up to that level because who's threatening to take their spot? Nobody. And so I think what teams need to start doing is focusing on other aspects of the team so they can plug and play. Like people forget, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The teams were strong. The things that was happening around them were strong. He was just simply asked to mess it up, and they didn't sell out to get it. Aaron Rodgers got one Super Bowl, and he got it in a broken year. But after that, he ain't been back. And so you keep going down the line that they finally realized that we got to be able to run this ball. And so to me, you got to be a good team that draft, and you got to have a quarterback who understands that, hey, you want to be great? I want you to be great. Here's what the greats did. People like not Steve Young, Joe Montana took pay cuts. Troy Aikman took pay cuts. I'm not saying Troy Aikman is great, but he took pay cuts to keep talent. You got all these different quarterbacks who took pay cuts. And the ones who don't because they know if I'm going to take a beating and be on the sucky team, I might as well get paid for my agony and my pain and suffering. And I get it. But at the end of the day, teams need to stop paying these quarterbacks this kind of money. It's ridiculous.
Right. I mean, I think that's a very fair. I think that's a very fair assessment. Not a Lions fan, but says at the panel, when was the last time Stafford was a top 5 QB for the entire 16 game season? Anybody want to take this one?
I'm done with Stafford questions. I'm not being funny. I'm just done with the Stafford questions. When he gone, I don't want to hear that the last time we had a good quarterback was Stafford. I don't want to hear that. I'm done with Stafford questions. You want to know when the last time he was a top 5 quarterback for the whole season? Go to Pro Football Reference and look it up.
2014?
No, I mean most of these quarterbacks ain't top 5 through the whole 16 seasons. Every quarterback sucks at some point or have a downtime or a bad game. Hell, Ben Roethlisberger just had one of the worst games that I've seen him have in a long time.
But he threw for 500 yards.
He threw 68, but he threw 68 times. That junk is ridiculous.
Hey,
I have a belief. Once you start throwing past 40 passes, that's too much.
Shit, at the 30.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Once you 40 is too much. Like it's just too much. And to me, if you look at the teams, like the only team that led in rushing and lost, which I think was because of their coach not using his brain, was the Colts. They're the only ones.
The Colts actually outplayed the Bills in that whole game.
Right. But then the mistakes came that they left a lot of points on the field. It's halftime. You up 10-7. Take the field goal. It's 13-7. If they score, it's 14-13. You down 1. Versus you going for it, not getting it because I don't know why you would go for it, but not getting it, and then now you're down 4. It's just stupid. They make sense.
You know, it's funny. Like, and I'm not saying this philosophy is foolproof, but my philosophy is simple. Against winning teams and playoff teams, you always take the points. I've never seen a playoff winning team take points and it come back to bite them in the ass. Like you take the points, right? You always take the points. Always take the points, man.
But they knew that they got the ball back at half, though, J-Mo. They knew that the Bills got the ball back at half and still passed on the points, and that doomed them. And for some reason, and I'm gonna put this out there, Naheem was killing them. Naheem Hines. Yeah. They weren't running him. The dude had 75. He was averaging he had 75 yards, I think, on 6 carries. Get him man the ball. Like I don't understand this. They was killing him in the run. You want to know why the Titans lost? They couldn't run. The Ravens came out and said, "We shutting the run down. We shutting the run down. We're gonna force your quarterback to beat us," and he couldn't do it. But I got to hear people tell me about how great Tannehill is because he won a playoff game, even though he didn't win the playoff game. The team did, and they ran it to win it. But that's not my business to talk about. Just speaking the truth.
Right.
He ain't great, but you don't need a Matthew Stafford to win a. You don't need Matthew Stafford to win a playoff game.
No, absolutely not.
No, I mean, listen. If you don't need to Matthew Stafford to win a playoff game, you don't. You do need a run game and a defense. It starts there. And so when you go through it, because I'm getting ready to do a video real soon. I know it's gonna be a trigger alert. So FYI, get ready for it because it's coming. Because I'm sick of it. And so in 2021, I told myself I'm not with the bullshit. No fluff. I'm not gonna sit here and be all politically correct so people's feelings don't get hurt. Come to me with a logical argument. I'm going to tell you the truth because the reality is this: you got to run the ball. You have to. And the teams who are doing it are women. Did you see what the Browns did? Oh my God, that was bully football from beginning to end.
One day up by like 30, and Baker Mayfield was like had like 5 or 6 passes or something.
Yes, man, they were killing them.
Like God,
they were killing them, bro.
Like that, bro.
The defense was dialed in. They didn't want to tackle Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb came out. Remember, and I think it was J-Mo. I think nobody was screaming harder than me and J-Mo, but J-Mo was screaming harder than me about Kareem Hunt. And all they doing is switch between Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, and it's exhausting. You literally saw them like, damn, we got to just keep getting smashed into these people. Who's the compliment to Derrick Henry? Because he couldn't do nothing. They geared up to stop him, and it was game over.
Yep.
No, if Derrick Henry had a compliment, even though, like, wow, yeah, they would be way, way better.
Yeah, but like, imagine if Derrick Henry compliment was like DeAndre Swift.
Like, Swift.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, right now, his compliment is like, it's a compliment, but it's like, is it?
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's a side dish. It's not even that. It's like some salt or something like that. And
right.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not the same.
Yeah. All right.
I see one question. I'm gonna answer this one really quick. Greg says, "Luke, what happened to the Lance versus Wilson video?" Still working on it. I've been getting hit with a lot of new names that I had not watched film on. So I said, let me watch the film and do my notes for that, and then that way all I got to do is edit them. But yeah, I'm still working on the Wilson versus Lance.
I was watching Trey Lance last night. I was kind of impressed. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I gotta watch some Trey Lance.
Was not mad at what I was watching. That's for sure.
I gotta do some watching.
My one big knock on Trey Lance. My one big knock is sometimes he run when people are wide open, and then instead of him just sliding, he's trying to dish out the punishment. In the NFL, you ain't doing that, bro.
Yeah, he definitely needs to like learn some shit too. Because like I was watching the same thing. The pocket presence wasn't necessarily there. Like he was like too urgent or too eager to run.
Yeah,
but he's really young. He missed a whole year, which kind of hurts that process. But I feel like it's something he could fix.
They played one game. That's what's crazy. They put him in one game to showcase him, and it was underwhelming.
Yeah, you guys think he still goes first round?
Yes,
I think he does.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I mean, it's too many people that need a quarterback. Like I said, Denver need a quarterback.
The potential looks there too, man.
New England need a quarterback.
Right. Yeah.
Just go down the list of teams who need a quarterback right now. And it's quiet as his cap. Quiet as his cap. The Dolphins are talking about trading Tua.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
They are.
They're talking about trading Tua. If Zach Wilson fall to it, they like, hey, Tua, it's been fun.
Appreciate you saying they gonna Kyler Murray to it, man.
Yeah, bro. They talking about moving on from Tua because one of the things, and it's funny because shout out to the Hood Cam, great video the Hood Cam did because it was things that he saw that I saw too, where Tua just wasn't seeing the field and he wasn't taking passes that he usually would take, and it's like, why you didn't see that? You know, you took off and ran, or why you throw it over here? That guy was open, and he pointed those things out. And if the casual fan like me and him can see it, the coaches see it. The fact that they would even talk or consider doing that and trading to it for draft capital, I'm just like, wow. Like, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got to look at it from their perspective, we gave Tua the keys, and we had to take the keys back every week. Right.
Three separate
come on, man. Like they're like, all right, Fitz, we need you back because this man playing like hot garbage.
But they should have let him just sit in the beginning. They should have let him sit, period. And then
I didn't expect Tua to play this year. Like when we were talking about it, none of us really expected Tua to play this season.
I read something earlier today. Fitzpatrick, I think, did an interview, and he was like, the thing that he struggled with was just like the timing. Like he freaked out too much in the pocket instead of just throwing the ball. He's like, that's like one of the big differences in the league is sometimes you just have to throw the ball. Like you can't just like hold on to it. He was too reserved.
Man, dude,
you look at his numbers, it looks that way too.
Yeah, man, listen, just like I don't like, to me with the Doug Pederson thing, like everybody was mad that he took him out, but I'm like, he wasn't playing great. I ain't trying to, let's be honest, the numbers show it, he wasn't playing great. And had he left him in and he got hurt, they'd have been saying, well, why are you still playing him in this meaningless game? I don't understand the backlash of it.
That was sketchy.
It was sketchy, but I'm just saying he wasn't playing. If he was balling out and he did it, I can go, oh, I believe it. But he wasn't balling out. He had a good run here and there.
He had a turnover, didn't he?
Right.
Was he just starting to surge? Like were they like?
No, I could have sworn they went to the red zone about to score, and the Eagles turned the ball over, and Washington got the ball back, and then we didn't see Jalen Hurts again. That's what I thought happened.
That's what I thought happened too, from what I remember. And I'm just saying that the reality is this, because a lot of people don't understand it. Tua had no business being thrust into that team. Especially with them refusing to stay committed to the run like they needed to. They ran the ball, but then it seemed like when Fitzpatrick was in, they were committed to running the ball. Tua get in, running the ball wasn't the option. Like, I don't understand this. That's garbage.
Right.
So I think that's why you see it. But yeah, they're talking about trading them. So,
yeah, wouldn't that be something to
if Watson gets traded to the Dolphins, man, I don't even want to talk about it.
All right, I see one more question up here for the panel, and anybody's free to answer this. Would you rather have a first-year head coach and an experienced general manager, or an experienced head coach with a first-year general manager? We'll start with you, Luke. I want to hear everybody's opinion on this one.
I would rather have the experienced head coach with an inexperienced general manager. Because the one thing about being the chef of the kitchen, even if you're not a good cook, you can read off my damn list of what I need for ingredients for a good meal. And so to me, that experienced head coach is going to be able to tell the general manager, hey, I'm running such and such and such system. I need this player because he fit like this. Versus the general manager saying, hey, this is a very good, talented player. I know you're a first-year coach, but you really should take this guy and coach him up. No. I want the experienced head coach. His job has more direct impact on what happens day in and day out, wins and losses, than the general manager. Period.
All right, fair enough. Very, very good points. JMO, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I actually do, because put it like this: if Bill Belichick, your head coach, and I know you care, but do you really care about your general manager? And just say that for and just say that for every elite head coach in the NFL, the top 5 guys. If you had them, do you really care about your general manager? And the answer is no, because those coaches have shown you give us some trash players, we can make them mediocre. You give us mediocre players, we can make them good. You give us something good, we can make them great. I've seen terrible coaches elevate players that weren't necessarily good by just putting them in positions to be successful. And that's why I would rather have the head coach, because you can have that experienced GM and he still can pick the wrong pieces with all that experience.
Fact.
Right.
Or J-Mo, take it the other side of it. Take the other side of it. As long as the Falcons have been significantly better and relevant, everybody talks about Sean Payton. You don't hear too many talks about that general manager.
Yeah.
Right, they got a general manager. I didn't know they had one.
See what I'm saying?
Like, I'm dead serious. Like, I feel like it's low key Sean Payton, and the dude just got a title.
It might be Sean Payton though, for real.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't nobody care. Like, who is the Steelers general manager? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
He does a damn good job. That's why I don't hear him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's easy to make a general manager look good when your coach is doing his job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin was winning with me at quarterback. So, like, come on, man.
And the only reason they lost this game in the playoffs was because not Ben Roethlisberger's turnovers. Everybody look at that and say it's obviously the turnovers. No, the whole team overlooked this damn Browns team, and the Browns smacked them in the mouth.
Yeah. Wow.
They smacked them in the mouth. Like, it was basically like walking up to the guy that's smarter than you and being like, you ain't nothing but a little punk. and then when he beats you up, you got all these excuses. It's like 7 of them. You know, like
could you imagine like somebody like Marvin Scantley from Green Bay saying, "Oh yeah, it's just the Lions, you know. We always beat the Lions." Like I'm like Juju like I had to look up and make sure he said that. I'm like, you did not really just say it's just
Chase Claypool was
like,
crazy,
you
man.
really just said that, bro. I'm like, oh, they gonna lose. I'm like, they gonna
I
lose.
did not believe
Once-
that.
Congratulations
bro, I'm
on
like,
Pride 40.
Yeah, man, he straight
your
up spit in
interview,
their face and they spit right back.
yeah, they looked past him, and that's what happened. They looked past him and got bullied, and it just is what it is. They literally took him light and that's why they talked about. That's why all of them was over there crying because they was like, I can't believe. Now, first of all, to get beat that bad, wow.
It's not even like they just got beat. They got, dominated.
Got beat.
Wow.
Yeah, beat the hell up, man. But back to the question though, I think I'd rather have the experienced GM rather than the experienced head coach.
Okay.
I think we see. Mike Tomlin's won there too. You know, talking about Jameis, he could win with me at quarterback. Well, he was an experienced head coach heading that situation. Kyle Shanahan was an experienced head coach beforehand. Sean McVay, like these coaches come from these coordinating positions or like other like places and whatnot. The GMs, we don't know about them, so I'd rather have a guy. Plus, another thing too is you fire a head coach, your GM's usually the one making the next hire. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'd rather have the GM who's picking the groceries and picking the coach too at that. Like, give me the GM. One of the things we always bitch about the Lions: no run game, no defense. Would it be nice to have a GM who addressed that?
But the GM don't address that though. That's a coaching decision. The GM, like to show you what I mean, why it doesn't work like that. The general manager for the Cardinals was ticked off at his head coach because we all agreed and was happy that we got Isaiah Simmons and he's not on the field. And so he had multiple conversations with, I don't care how you do it, get our guy on the field because at first they wasn't putting him out there. So
the GM could fire him.
Yeah, he could fire him, but the problem is you fire him, you better have somebody who can maintain this team and get them going. Otherwise, you back to Patricia and fans saying that they need a third year to change the culture.
But the thing is, I feel like there's more examples of like coaches without experience coming in and can I swear on here? I'll say messing stuff up. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of unexperienced coaches coming in here and messing things up, and way more than I can't truly speak on it with general managers because again, I'm not 100%. Sure.
Hold on.
It's so like iffy. Like you can give Matt Patricia a good team and we still win 6 games. So it's just like a general manager can only do so much. I can give you the pieces, but can you use
but a general manager is also making that hire. You know what I'm saying? He's hiring.
Yeah, but usually
if you got experienced GM, he knows.
But if you got an experienced GM in this scenario, we're not going to have an experienced head coach. We're going to have a new head coach, and I really don't care who he picks because, like I said, that GM can make mistakes, and if your experienced GM makes
Ozzie Newsome for the Ravens, Gary Kubiak,
that young quarterback.
Gary, he's had some terrible people. So J-Mo right. The experienced general manager can make numerous of mistakes. That's why I remember when the Ravens had Gary Kubiak as a head coach. You know what I'm saying? When that Ozzie Newsome, when it came time for them to make some of the draft picks, some of the quarterbacks that was brought in, everybody make mistakes. But the person who's cooking the meal is the person who gets it going. That's the head coach.
For sure.
That's why I said, like, being honest, like, if Bill Belichick was the head coach, do you think a GM could hold him back?
Bill Belichick's his own GM. And that's a whole different. Like, I'm
saying if he's on a different team, he's not the GM. He's just the coach.
That's a crazy ass snip, bro.
I don't think it's gonna matter.
Give me like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's on the GM.
It don't matter, bro. He got Bill Belichick. He gonna get them guys in order, dog.
You definitely need a coach to get them guys in order, but it's the GM who helps you get the guys and even gets the coach for you.
I remember this movie. I was just watching it because it came up on Hulu Any Given Sunday, and Al Pacino is going into the office talking to the daughter, who's the owner and the general manager, about the team. And they're telling him, you're going to play Willie. And so the head coach is like, I'm playing the other dude that Dennis Quaid was playing. He's like, I'm playing him. He's been loyal, blah, 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 blah. And the ownership and general manager like, no, you're playing Willie. So they put Willie out there. In the first couple of games, they started losing. And so he goes to him and goes, I'm putting in my guy. And they put in his guy, and they start winning. And they change stuff up, and the team respond different. And then that guy gets hurt again. They go back to Willie. And I'll never forget this scene, because when they go back to Willie and they have a chance to do things different, the team had no choice but to get behind them because it was a last resort, but because they trusted the head coach. And then he quit because he was like, I'm done with this. The point I'm making is he is the one cooking the meal. Let the guy get the groceries, because I promise you, if you give him the right ingredients, you're going to get a great meal. But if you got a guy who just know how to grocery shop, who know how to bargain shop, he can get all the ingredients he wants, and then he goes out and get a chef, i.e. my 4-year-old, shame on you. You're going to get cereal with Lord knows what else in it. Syrup, kudos. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. Get the guy who can cook the meal. That's that's the way I look at it.
I mean, for sure, want like a good coach, but I'm saying like there aren't always experienced coaches that are good coaches. Like you get the opportunity. I mean, a lot of coaches obviously become head coaches from coordinator positions, and you need a GM to like see that. I guess the point I'm making. Like I guess
no, I agree.
John Gruden right now, a Super Bowl winning coach.
Yeah, okay, I get. Like,
John Gruden is a GM though. Yeah. John Gruden is a GM. Make no mistake.
He's not.
Yes, he is.
Oh, yes,
no, he's not. No, he's not.
He is. Yes,
John Gruden is the GM.
No, Mike Mayock's the GM of the.
No, he's not. John Gruden. Listen, dude. Listen to me, easy. You can look this stuff up, okay? You can look this stuff up. John Gruden is the GM. He went out and got Mike Mayock because he liked the way that Mike Mayock and him thought when it came to getting talent, and so they named him as a GM. But everything runs through John Gruden. That's why he has that big contract of $100 million, because he is both head coach and GM. That's not me making it up. That is just you can Google it. He is the GM. Mike Mayock was brought in under his decision to bring in Mike Mayock because he liked the way Mike Mayock and him think when it comes to drafting talent. That's it.
So, but who's the GM?
John Gruden.
Who's the GM?
John Gruden.
Who holds the position of general manager?
The GM is John Gruden, bro.
Yeah, come on, y'all. All right.
It's John Gruden.
Like when they drafted Cleveland Farrell, and John Gruden did his little interview, John Gruden was speaking in the I, me, myself, and I tense. Well, I like Farrell because he did this. I wanted Farrell because he did that. I like Josh Jacobs because he selected those guys.
And I'll bring up you as a perfect example of like the experienced head coach. So like, bam, there you go. They gave an experienced head coach the option of picking the GM, and you're in charge of everything. And look how things are going.
I mean, the Raiders look way better than they did a few years ago.
No, they don't. They were in the playoffs the year before. What's the name?
They lost. Once they lost Khalil Mack, they look way better.
They especially don't. They literally did better the year prior to like the year they hired him. I'm trying to think who was there. Del Rio.
Yeah, that's when they had. That's when they had Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like they look better now. I don't understand.
They don't.
Yes, they
literally
do.
Were better before. That's what I'm saying. Like if you pull it up,
better by record.
That's what better by record
like,
too.
Their team is a way better culture and it's a way better place, and they're getting better. That Raiders team was imploding. That's why they traded Khalil Mack in the first place, and Del Rio was fired.
They had an implosion when they brought them in. They brought in Antonio Brown.
They had one good year, and then they didn't do nothing else after that.
I wish y'all could see me up here with this goddamn popcorn and my damn tea. This is good. Keep going. Don't stop now. Don't let me slow y'all down. Keep going. This is entertaining.
All right, but before they hired John Gruden, this is what happened. Jack Del Rio went 12-4 with them. They lost in the playoffs, and they went 6-10, and then they hired John Gruden. Went 4-12 the next year, and they went 7-9. This year they're 8-8. That's not better. I mean, I don't care to argue about the Raiders, honestly. But like that's just what I'm saying. That's what you can get when you give the head coach full control. I guess, because he's experienced and whatnot. You get some that are good though, but I just feel like it's more often that you're seeing unexperienced coaches come in and do well versus like vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, listen, I'm just here so I don't get fined. But y'all keep this going. I
I gotta get a shot. Another
I need this energy. Give me all of it. I want all of it.
I'm saying facts. I ain't trying to like. I ain't
I'm
trying to
just
like
saying,
go
that
anybody or
Raiders
nothing like that to
team,
bring
nobody
entertainment. I'm
had
saying
the
they were
Raiders-
better before.
No, nobody had the Raiders winning 8 games. That team is not even that talented, and they were overachieving. They were whooping on the Chiefs. Chiefs lucky they ain't in playoffs because they shook. That team was very competitive, man.
Oh my God,
hey,
reaching on that one.
man, they had to keep begging them to let them win a game. had the Chiefs shook, and you know
He
they
said,
did.
wait, he said, oh, you reaching on that one.
Hey, that's the facts. The Chiefs got one loss this year. Right?
Ryder, back to you, Ryder, man.
George,
Hey, I'm enjoying this. Hey,
I was way too caught up in that conversation. I'm like, yo, they go, oh, this is finna get good. Let me get comfortable.
I was saying facts. I ain't trying like it wasn't a debate. It was like correct. It was they were better beforehand. It wasn't like I was trying like, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, we're back.
Yeah.
They were trash.
Hey, I was just sitting here enjoying it. Y'all make my job
It was
easy.
12 and
You're
4,
right.
and the only reason, and I'm not gonna say the only reason, but the playoff game that they lost, I want you guys to remember that Connor Cook was a starting quarterback too because Derek Carr couldn't play. So Jack Del Rio definitely had him on like a track, like doing pretty well.
I mean, no, Jack Del Rio had one good season and then got fired.
He had same good season, and one better season than Gruden.
Like I said, he had one good season and got fired.
All right, this is going for days, guys. All right. Well, I think that's all we got. I'm not seeing any more questions.
I see one that says, who do y'all all want at 7?
I think it depends.
We'll be here all night.
Yeah. We'll be here all night. Michael Parsons. That's what I want.
Zach Wilson or Trey Lance?
Right now, I would say Micah Parsons, but again, it depends who's there on the board. Easy, you want to answer this last one?
Let's see what it is. What is it?
Who do you guys want at number 7?
Bro, I have no specifics of anyone that I want at number 7 right now. I want a quarterback. If it's not looking like one of those 3 names that we've been talking about between Justin Fields and Trey Lance and Wilson, if they're not there, I'm cool going elsewhere. If they are there, I feel like you got to grab those guys.
All right, fair enough. But with all that, that's all we got for you guys tonight. I enjoyed it. My first roundtable hosting, and I had quite a good time. Obviously,
you did excellent.
Good debate.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And obviously, we'll get on to final thoughts. I guess I'll start. First off, thank you to everybody in the chat who came over. Thank you, everybody that showed up for my first roundtable. I enjoyed it. It's always more fun. The more people that are in here, the more people that talk, comment, debate, all that. It's always fun to have you guys here. I appreciate all of you coming out and supporting for my first roundtable hosting. And with all that, that's all I got. Easy, you want to go with your final thoughts?
Shit, man, I want to say congratulations to you and good job to you because you actually did an excellent job. I was listening before I hopped on the way here from the gym, and I wouldn't be able to tell that was your first roundtable. So good job for you, man. That's my final thoughts.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, keep it up with this broadcast and stuff.
I appreciate it. J-Mo, you got something?
Shout out to everybody in the chat. And I just want to say, I know everyone is watching this fiasco with the Lions, but do what I do. Sit back, relax, and just wait. No need to contemplate. No need to be worried about people. You want to look at some draft picks, have fun because we're going to be drafted, and just wait because it's going to be a lot of talking and confusion out there. Ryder, you did phenomenal. Definitely happy for you. And all I want to say is, Lions, if you don't hire the right head coach, I'm done with y'all. This is my last chance for y'all.
All righty. All right. And Luke, it is your time. I'm sure you have a quote for us. I'm sure you got something for us to
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, again, shout out to Ryder for holding it down, doing a good job hosting. Could not be more happier. Shout out for Easy, still finding a way to beat people up in COVID. Shout out to J-Mo. Shout out to J-Mo for never being afraid, for taking a good debate. And to all of you who came into the chat, shout out to y'all for being here rocking with us. Today's quote actually came because I thought about it after thinking about Easy. It is stop fighting yourself. In other words, stop getting to a point where you keep giving yourself an out. Every time I turn around and I find myself trying to decide if I should do something or if I shouldn't, I remember that the only person that's stopping me or hindering me from doing what needs to be done for me to be great is me. You have to stop beating yourself up and start championing yourself to move forward, not in fear, but in peaceful bliss of glory in your own greatness, to know that whatever you set your eyes on, whatever you need to get done, or however you see fit for it to happen, the only person who can stop you is you. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you subscribe to this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man's channel, Mr. Right or Wrong. And make sure that you check out all them videos, because he's still pumping out way too many that I've ever seen. And I don't know how he's doing all that and going to school and everything else. So make sure you show some support to him and all the rest of the DSA members. And as always, don't be no chump. Please do your research.